America has always solved its uncomfortable problems by pushing them out of sight. From exporting pollution to developing nations to offshoring labor exploitation, we've mastered the art of keeping our hands clean while others get dirty. Now we are applying that same principle to human rights. What's happening with nearly 300 Venezuelans sent to El Salvador's Cecot prison isn't just policy decision, it's a deliberate strategy. By moving these people beyond our borders, the Trump administration has created a perfect system of deniability. When we outsource our cruelty, we bypass our own legal protections. The Constitution? Well, that doesn't fully apply. Federal judges? They can be ignored. Due process? Well, that's optional. By invoking the archaic Alien Enemies Act and claiming state secrets, the administration has created a rights-free zone where anything goes as long as it happens far enough away. The disturbing thing about outsourcing suffering is it creates psychological distance. When Americans hear about rights violations happening in El Salvador, even to people who were just in U.S. custody, it doesn't feel like our responsibility. It happens over there. Their problem now. The administration knows exactly what it's doing. As Secretary Nome stood before those caged men and said, "If you come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you can face." She wasn't just threatening immigrants. She was training Americans to accept this as normal, to see extrajudicial punishment as justified. Look at the careful language used. Terrorism confinement center, gang members, enemy aliens. Each term deliberately dehumanizes. Each phrase makes it easier to forget that we are talking about human beings with rights, families, and stories. People whose crime might be nothing more than having the wrong tattoos or coming from Venezuela. The pattern is clear. First, declare a group dangerous without evidence. Second, strip them of legal protections. Third, move them somewhere the public can't see. Finally, wash your hands of responsibility. It's El Salvador's problem now, even though we created it. Human rights attorney Ivania Cruz warns, today it is Venezuelans. Tomorrow it may be Chileans, and then Colombians. But let's be honest, it won't stop with Latin Americans. Once we accept that some people can be denied rights and disappeared across borders, that stain spreads. The real danger isn't just what happens to these 300 people. It's how this practice normalizes rights violations for everyone. Today it's undocumented immigrants. Tomorrow it could be legal residents with the wrong political views. Next, citizens accused of supporting the wrong causes. When the administration defies judicial orders and denies due process, they are not just violating the rights of those directly affected, they are testing how far they can go, how much the American public will tolerate. What's most chilling is the calculated nature of it all. This isn't passion or panic, it's strategy. Keep the messy parts out of sight and let someone else do their dirty work. Maintain plausible deniability, all while sending the message, this is what happens to those who don't belong. Outsourcing suffering doesn't eliminate our moral responsibility. It just allows us to ignore it, to sleep soundly while others suffer on our behalf. The question isn't whether we will allow human rights violations. We already are. The question is whether we will continue pretending that they are not happening because they happen somewhere else, to people we've been taught not to see as fully human. When we outsource our cruelty, we don't just damage others, we corrupt ourselves. We become a nation that measures its morality by what we can get away with, rather than by what is right.